What's happening? JC Agajanian here, broker associate with the Whissel Realty Group at eXp, bringing you the market update for May of 2023. It's now June. We got our numbers for last month, and it's time to dive into them, have a look, see what it is telling us. Now, before we get into this, I've got to just comment in general on the market. In the 20 years I've been doing this, I have never seen a market as hot and cold, as yo-yo-y up and down as it has been in the last year. Beginning 2022, we still had a fiery market with extremely low rates and an intense competitive situation for buyers and sellers sitting in the catbird seat, laughing all the way to the bank. Well, about halfway through the year, that all changed. On a dime, going the opposite direction, and the market went downward, right? And this is the first time we've seen the market go downward in a very long time. Overall, in the second half of 2022, we probably lost about 12 to 15% of value locally here in San Diego County, depending on which part of town you're in. That was interesting, but it was predictable because we know that the Fed had been increasing rates, the economy was getting too frothy, they had printed too much money, something needed to be done, right? And that's the reason everything changed. So we knew it was coming and it was inevitable, right? So we lose that percentage, things really taper down. And it's basically what we're calling a correction in retrospect, because as soon as January came around, out of nowhere, after what seemed to be some of the slowest and most just kind of lackluster months we've seen in years, January kicked off with a bang. We don't really know why, because the rates were still kind of the same as they were. Buyers came out of the woodwork, and the doldrums of the fall and winter had kind of been erased. And just like with the new year, just like that, the new market kind of began again. So we had a one market that was hot and just advancing, appreciating like crazy. Then we had another market that was down. What everyone thought might be the beginning of the end, a 2008 and 9 like just collapse of values here locally, didn't turn out to be. Turned out to be an honest correction. And then now here we are in a slow upward trend again. I don't know what to make of all this. All I'm telling you is what we've experienced and what we've seen. So now, fast forward to today, we're gonna go ahead and look at the numbers as we usually do to try and take what data we have at our fingertips and predict where we're going from here. So we'll take a look at some of the key statistics that our local board of realtors provides us every month and see where we're doing and where we're going. So first things first, how many new properties came on the market in May compared to this time last year? It's down, actually. There are fewer new properties coming on the market to the tune of 41%. So almost half as many new properties coming on the market last month than the year prior. That's significant, right? So naturally, you're going to think how many properties are going off the market. We call them pending sales. So how many contracts are being accepted, how many properties that were on the market are going off. That's down as well. And that's down not as significantly, but it's down just about 25% at 24.8%. The number of properties closed are down to 27.9%, almost the same figure as well. And that makes sense. Is a lagging indicator and something that we've been aware of for a long time, but is finally showing up in our market stats, is the median price. Median price is actually down a little bit. This is year over year for the month of May. And I'm surprised it's not a bigger number, but it's just under 3% at 2.9%. The median price right now is just under $850,000 in San Diego County. The average price is a little bit higher at just over $1 million. But the important thing that we look at is the month's supply of inventory. I always like to explain this as simply as possible. If you were to look at a grocery store shelf full of boxes of cereal and it's stocked full, how long will it take to sell down to zero without adding any more boxes on there? That's how we look at our month's supply of inventory, or the absorption rate here on the housing front in the county. And at 1.5 months supply of inventory, it is extremely low. It's a little bit higher than it's been in recent months as I've watched these figures on my own. But to give you some context, a neutral market, not really a seller's market or a buyer's market, is going to run in that 4 to 6 month supply of inventory. So we still have a significant shortage of inventory. We don't see that changing in the near future for a couple reasons. Here in San Diego County, we are locked in. We've got the Pacific to the west, we've got the border to the south, and we've got Camp Pendleton to the north, and we've got the mountains to the east. There is not a ton of expansion that can take place in San Diego County. So what about resale? What about people selling their homes to go leave the county or go into a different home within the county or whatever the case may be? Well, we've got a little bit of a backlog there too, because a lot of people have extremely low rates and they're not excited about trading up to a new higher rate. So in general, right now, we would need a significant amount of new homes to flood in the market to really cool prices. So if you're one of these buyers who is very turned off by the way rates are right now, and you think, I'm gonna wait until rates come down because it's too expensive the way it is, probably just gonna compound the situation that we're already looking at right now, right? Because at that point, there's a ton of other people that have the same mentality that are going to be flooding into the market. So we're thinking that while we're not going to see the market charging up ahead the way we saw in recent years with high single-digit to double-digit appreciation per year, in some cases even in the low teens, we're not forecasting anything like that. But we are forecasting that the market locally here will get back to approachable and standard appreciation level, probably in the 2 to 5% range over this next year, which is about what you want. It's a healthy market moving upward. The only issue we're dealing with is inventory levels. For the person that maybe needs to sell and get a bigger property or wants to go to a different part of town or whatever the case, you're actually in a really good position because on the sell side, you're going to be maximizing that dollar for sure. There is a strong demand for your property. And on the buy side, you're likely moving up into something that's a little bit more difficult to get into because you're in that move up position and you're going to have a little bit of an easier time getting into one of those properties as a lot of people who are getting in for the first time might be as well. It's really an interesting time. The biggest piece of advice I can take is to really let some of the media's mania about rates, negativity sells. So there's always going to be something negative about the housing market that they're going to be selling. Let that just roll off the duck's back like water, right? So what we need to do is figure out, what do you really need for your family? What kind of home, what kind of area, what are you looking for that property? And then we partner you up with a great lender and say, what can you actually afford? And do these things match up? Forget about the rate. Just does this payment match up with what you're trying to do? And if so, it's a fantastic time to get in. By the time the rates do settle back down, and we do forecast them coming back down, inflation is slowly coming under better control, and the mortgage rates typically follow the inflation rates. So we see a refinance opportunity in the near future. So that will be a gravy for you on the side. But if you can get into something that makes sense for you and your family now and refinance down the road, 6 months, a year, 2 years down the road, you're going to come out smelling like a rose. All in all, the situation is going to be largely dependent on you, your personal circumstances. What is right for you and your family now? And I'd love to have that conversation with you, help you figure it out. If it means staying put and doing nothing, I'll tell you that. And if it means you should really take a move because you're going to benefit for multiple reasons, I'll tell you that too. Let me know, and we'll talk to you soon.